Welcome to the shooting show. This week we're back in Essex with Geoff Garrod on pigeon patrol. He's using the Lincoln Elite de Luxe shotgun, plus we also look at an interesting new rifle concept, the Cerakote by Riflecraft. Last time we joined Geoff Garrod for some pigeon shooting, there was still snow on the ground. Today, conditions are somewhat different.
What we're trying to achieve today, there's about a 60-acre field of rape here, and as you can see, it's been sort of pretty hit hard through the winter time, and the pigeons are still on it, but we're faced with a problem that we've got a road to the right of the field, we've got the villages at the far end of the field. So it's pushing us all into sort of like one corner really, which is behind a clump of trees in the middle of the field. I'm going to put a couple of scarecrows or bags out this end of the field, because there is a flight line that comes over the road where we are now, and I'm trying to keep that flight line going so it continues up to the top end of the field, and that's where we're going to make the hide. Pigeons, the good thing about shooting this time of year, that the leaves are coming out, you've got a lot more cover about, and hopefully we can get the hide right so they won't be seeing us, get them coming right in, and then fingers crossed we can hit one or two.
We set up in Geoff's favoured shooting location. For once, luck seems to be on our side and conditions are virtually ideal.
To start, we're just going to have the decoys just in a little bit of a group right in front of the hide and see how the pigeons react to it. If they're coming in great and decoying perfect, then I'll leave them alone, but by watching them where they land, or if they shy off a little bit, I'll move the pattern round, so hopefully before too long we've got it right and the pigeons are coming right in. I managed to catch a couple of carrion crows, so while we're here we'll stick these out. You never know, you might catch a couple of crows off guard. Today I'm going to be using a Lincoln gun from John Rothery's. It's an over and under multi-choke, single trigger, selection on the safety catch. Feels very nice, but with all guns the proof of the pudding is in the eating. We're using Eley VIP fibres, 5-shot, 32 gram. It's a good cartridge, good combination, it certainly does the job.
There's no more time for introduction. Stoking up the gun, Geoff settles in to wait for some action, and he's in for a treat with the first bird of the day.
I don't like to walk too far to pick them up. Right, we're going to set him up with his mates. My personal preference is you can't beat the live pigeon or the real pigeons for decoys. And as I shoot a few live ones or real ones, I'll put them out and I'll bring the shell decoys in.
Those lifelike shell decoys are certainly working today as another curious pigeon comes in, and then a third. It's not long before they're coming in from all directions, the fallen pigeons replacing artificials and proving even more of a draw for the oblivious woodies. Geoff and the Lincoln shotgun are making a good team so far. But what's this? An unexpected visitor.
Comes a crow out front there.
The corvid flew across Geoff's line and he shows sharp reflexes to bring it down. Distraction taken care of, it's back to the main event.
Good boy. Leave it.
A quick break to collect the fallen sees the supply of decoys bolstered once more. Then it's back to waiting and shooting, and of course eating.
You filming my hygienic hands. We've been here now for about an hour and 3/4, coming for a couple of hours. Got about 25 in the bag. Been a little bit slower than what I thought it was going to be, but that's pigeon shooting. Hoping for it to pick up a little bit later. What I'm hoping is as the evening goes on, they'll have an empty crop and they'll be looking for their last feed before for roosting. So, I think again, them fingers crossed. They might start coming on to feed. I mean, they're just beginning to see a bit more traffic now. We just need to keep building up a bit now for the last knockings, really.
It looks like our wish for more birds is about to be granted. The flock is on the move, and pigeons are heading towards our position in greater numbers. Geoff lies in wait.
Him too, look. Where's he gone? There he is. Oh. He's gone down. Fine, James. Yeah. Which all them pigeons go by, and then all of a sudden one will just come whoosh, whoosh, whoosh in the decoys, sit there, up and just bounce, as if ain't got a care in the world, Why haven't the rest of them done it? No, keep coming this way, keep coming this way, keep coming this way.
Now this is more like it, fast-paced shooting, but there's more to come yet. After a quick breather and a reload, it starts up again.
It's about 6 o'clock now. It's picked up quite a bit, thankfully. We must be getting there 50-60, I would imagine now. The scarecrows that we put out earlier, they are working because what it's doing, it's bringing those birds that are coming across the road, instead of landing on the bottom of the field, it's just putting them up that little bit further, which is bringing them into the range of the decoys. And although they're not decoying like I would like them to have done, what it's doing, the decoys are bringing them on the line so I can get shot at them, say, flying over the top. So the scarecrows down there are working, and it's given me quite a bit of extra shooting because of it. Got one coming from the right there. It looks like there's a couple coming from the right there now. Looks like they might be on a good line. Actually, that second one is certainly.
Just as about to pack up, Geoff spots one coming in from afar. Can we make the last bird of the day one to remember?
Well, we're finished up, just counting the pigeons up, got 55, 4 carrions, a rook and a jackdaw, which, as any keeper will tell you, it's worth just coming here just to get the carrion crows. I mean, the day's been a good day, a sunny day at long last. Pigeons, they've been coming about, they've been coming in the area, haven't decoyed as good as I'd like them to. I've had a lot of pigeons just drifting by. You think they're just going to come in and you wait for them to decoy in and then they just drift into the wood. I mean, that is one of the downsides of shooting next to a wood, that if the pigeons are not that 100% sure, they will just drift into the wood and go and sit in the wood. But nevertheless, we've had a good bit of fun. The Eley cartridges have performed well, and with the gun, I must admit, it's a 28-inch barreled gun, and I'm used to shooting 32-inch barrels on my clay gun, and also shooting automatics, which makes that a little bit longer. It took me a little bit of time to get used to it. Missed a few at the start of the day, but eventually we picked up with it, and yeah, it performed all right. Yeah, all in all, it's a nice gun. As any good pigeon shooter should do, no matter who you are or where you are, the last but not least thing that you should make sure is that where you've been pigeon shooting is that you leave it in the condition that you find it. There's no litter, no cartridge cases. Pick up anything that you can, walk away with it as clean as clean.
Geoff bagging up on pigeons with the Lincoln there. And now, the Shooting Show news.
This is the Shooting Show news. BASC is fighting off fresh calls to raise shotgun and firearms licence fees as high as £94. The Association of Chief Police Officers proposed to increase fees to combat what it says is a £19 million shortfall in funding for police firearms units. But BASC's Director of Firearms Bill Harriman said police could still make efficiency savings and service improvements without increasing costs. He said shooters should pay a fair price for a fair service. A consultation on the use of snares in Northern Ireland has concluded. The NI Snaring Working Group, created in 2010 when the Northern Ireland Assembly voted to regulate snares instead of banning them, has drafted a snares order and code of practice. Proposals include fitting a swivel and permanent safety stops at 23 centimetres, saying this strikes an effective balance between humane treatment and the need for practical land management. BASC commended the consultation and called the code of practice clear, workable and effective. Longthorn Gunmakers has announced 3 new guns to be launched at this year's CLA Game Fair. The Lancashire-based company will launch a sporting model and a high-rib gun that will have the same dynamics and balance as previous models, but with 32-inch barrels and a slightly heavier weight. Longthorn will also launch its 20-bore game gun at this year's fair. For more details, pick up the next issue of Clay Shooting. The CPSA has said it is listening to members' concerns after the Regional Committee in Kent voted to reject its proposed Articles of Association. The proposals would see the CPSA chairman decided by the directors instead of members, though members would still elect the directors. CPSA Chief Executive Nick Fellows defended the proposals and said they were a consultation, not a resolution for members to accept or reject. Read the full interview with Nick Fellows in the next issue of Clay Shooting magazine. And finally, Marta Howard has been re-elected for a second year as BASC chairman. At the BASC AGM on the 8th of June, the organisation also revealed that former chairman John Graham will rejoin the BASC Council, as will Duncan Greaves, who previously served on the council for 10 years. The BASC elections saw more than 4,000 votes cast, and the new council members will serve at a term of at least 5 years. More news in the next issue of Modern Gamekeeping. That was the Shooting Show news.
This is Cerakote Coating, NIC Industries. it's a ceramic based coating. Spray on wet spray process, and then oven baked. There's two series. There's the H series, which is oven baked, and C series, which is air cure, which is heat resistant. So the whole thing works with straight from strip down to the blasting cabinet, 80 grit blast, through to the spray area, degrease, oven bake for about 30 minutes, which takes out all the gases and degreases the materials completely. Straight out into the cooling area here, hanging area, and back onto the rack, coated with Cerakote, and then into the oven for a required amount of time, dependent on material and temperature. Yeah, it's 64 coatings, colours, in C and H series. Combinations of colours, they all will do a custom mix for you if you require it, but you can usually find a colour in the 64 you like. So it's very, very hard wearing. Corrosion resistance, all the details can be found on the NIC website, so that'll give you all the spec, corrosion resistance. It's heat tolerant, it's very, very hard wearing against scratching, just general wear and tear. Great stuff. We've had no problems with it whatsoever. We're coating anything from exhaust manifolds on aircraft to bolt handles to bolt bodies, watch buckles. The uses are endless. It's fantastic. It's 2 to 3 micron thick, so it's very, very thin but very hard wearing. This one here is just straight off the rack, along with this action, which I'll just unhook, and this will slot straight in with no snagging, no alterations to the tolerances. Headspace is exactly the same. General wear and tear, if you treat your rifle well, it'll last for 5, 6, 10 years. Just depends on how rough you are with it. So if you take care of your rifle as you should. Because you've got ceramic particles in the material, you then get the head of the ceramic particles coming out of the material and then rubbing on each other, forming a self-lubricating surface. So that's excellent for those properties as well. So we get items come in either stripped down or complete guns. This is some airsoft kit that we got sent in. I'm not entirely happy with the finish, so I'm going to blast it back again and start over. So it'll go in like this into the grip blaster, and that's the finished article. Comes out completely stripped, completely back to bare metal. So that is stage one. Then we move from here back to the spray area for degreasing, and then that's it with bare hands. It's latex gloves from then on, so you don't get any grease from your fingers onto the material. So grip blast, then degrease. So everything gets hung. These are other parts that we've done for another process, for another customer, just to give you an idea. Right, then next stage is panel wipe or degreaser. This process you can either do in a tank or on high pressure through an old gun. This will remove all the dust from the grip blasting and any grease that's been transferred from your fingers onto the material. Otherwise, you'll just get blemishes in your paintwork, in your ceramic paintwork. So it's always best to degrease all the materials. I mean, degreasing allowed to evaporate, the material evaporate into the oven for between 20 and 30 minutes to preheat, just dry the material off, dry any excess moisture off of it, any greasy fingerprints will all get wiped away, evaporate. Slam the doors on those two, turn the oven on, then remove them from the oven, and they're allowed to cool on the cooling rack for as long as it takes. Next process, just from the oven, allow those to cool off for as long as it takes really just for them to cool down, ready to be removed over to the spraying area for recoating. We're going to do a matte finish, so we're going to do a 24:1 ratio of coating and hardener. So we've got a 2-pack. So first stage is to pour 24 grams of sniper grey into our mixing pot and 1 gram of hardener. Give that a good mix. Right, next stage is to transfer to the gun, which is a 260 micron filter, paint filter, to ensure you don't get any lumps or any excess pieces of hardener floating around in your mixture, so that you can get a nice smooth finish. Final stage in the coating is to adjust your air and fan. Right, it's just to start coating. Do your most difficult parts first and work out to just get inside the trigger guard. These would be completely finished. I check that they're completely covered, then move them from here to the preheated oven, drop them in there for an hour to an hour and a half, depending on materials and temperature. Things can vary, so we tailor things to suit each job.
Well, that's it for this week. Thanks for watching. We're out every Monday, 7:30 PM UK time. This is The Shooting Show.